Watson being in the crowd tonight, and his presence reminds me of something that I think he was the only person, Democrat or Republican in the entire, and independent in the entire General Assembly, I think there's 133 of them, that voted no on 38 studios. And I guess he gets to say he told us so after the fact. My point in bringing this up is I think leadership sometimes is best represented on when you can stand up and say no to your own party or no to the leadership in the General Assembly. So I would like to ask each of you, if elected, what would be the most important issue where you stood up and looked at your own party leaders and said, I'm going against you on this, you're doing this wrong. And in Mr. McDonough's case, running as an independent, just running against the leadership in general, when would you stand up to them and say, no, you're doing the wrong thing? What issue? Yes?
Well, I think I appreciate this question because it brings me back to that earlier question, and I'd like to explain why I answered in the affirmative with Speaker Fox, and I'll tell you why. That it's from my experience in having dealt with the Speaker, and although that topic of 38 studios comes up, I don't lay the blame at his feet alone. I think Senator Hodgson spoke of, in an article in the Patch, that there are 4 culpable parties: the Governor Kachiri at the time, Pivo Weed, Speaker Fox, and there was one other entity. Now I drew a blank on who that 4th one in his article was, but there are plenty of blame to go around in that regard. I commend Representative Watson for having that courage. I remember listening to that debate, and he took a lot of pressure from his Republican governor at the time, because you were minority leader, I believe, so he's to be commended for that vote. And you name the issue. If I believe in my mind and my heart that that particular issue should go away one direction, no party or no trade-off on some other vote is going to sway that opinion, because if I vote on principle, so it doesn't matter what the topic is. It comes down to principle. That doesn't mean that I'm not someone who's willing to compromise with other views and hear other views and get all sides of an issue. And I can be persuaded, obviously, with good reason on certain issues. But when it's a matter of principle, there'd be no dissuading me from voting my principle.
Thank you, Mr. McDonough. Mr. Giarrusso, where would you stand up to your own party? What issue and what would you say?
Well, if it doesn't smell right, I wouldn't vote for it. And the point when it looks like you're actually representing a special interest, then as opposed to your constituents and the people of Rhode Island, that's a no-brainer for me. I would never vote yes on anything that was misrepresenting the people. And that all comes back to transparent government. I mean, we the people don't know what's going on. That's how we get started with this 3 o'clock in the morning business. That, as my mother always told us, nothing good happens after midnight, and the same should be with that. Like, do your business and at a reasonable hour, and don't push it all to the end, and that's how we get into these traps.
Okay, Mark Schwager, where would you stand up to the Democratic leadership, the Democratic Party, and say no to an issue that you might be pressured to be on board with them on?
Well, as a physician, my relationship is with my patients. And when I'm dealing with my patients, I don't take into account the views of the American Medical Association or Roger Williams Hospital, where I admit patients, or Blue Cross, which insures my patients. I deal with the patient as my constituent. And as a representative, the people of the district are my constituents. So I don't take into account the Democratic Party or the Democratic leadership when I'm representing the constituent. Just to hit the issue head on, people say, why should we put another Democrat up in the legislature? Again, my allegiance is to the district and to the voters and my constituents. And I have a record in East Greenwich over the past 15 years of doing that. I have worked in this community in a nonpartisan way, bringing groups of people with different views together for the benefit of the community. And I intend to keep doing that at the State House, and depending on the issue, I will represent the district.
Thank you. Let's move on to another.
Can I just add one more thing?
Okay, sure.
What's lost in all this, we keep saying East Greenwich, right? But we also represent a good part of West Greenwich. And there is one item, in addition to what we talked about, that I would say absolutely not, is that big river management, that just, something smells bad there. Like anytime the people of West Greenwich, and these are the biggest concerns that I have when I'm out there, as they say that they ask about what's the plan for the big river, and the answer is, I'm not gonna touch that with a 10-foot pole. Well, what's the plan? You know, that I wanna know that. Like they're gonna start maybe with a green landfill, like all the branches, shred them up, put them there. Well, guess what? That big mountain in Johnston started as a temporary green landfill, and look at it now. So that will never happen in West Greenwich.
Well, sure.
I'm glad that Mr. Giarrusso brought up West Greenwich, because I do apologize. I tend to fall into my East Greenwich cheerleading mode, but West Greenwich is an important part of the district. Although it's a small part of the district, there's about, I think, 9,000 or 10,000 voters in East Greenwich, only about 1,000 voters in West Greenwich. But a very interesting community, and I've tried to learn about it, and the more I find out about it, the more it's intriguing. It's one of the least populated and has some of the most largest protected land in the state. So I called the town manager, Kevin Breen, and I spoke to him and asked him about the pressing issues in West Greenwich. And I also called the town land planner, Jennifer Paquette, and spoke with her about issues that are important to West Greenwich, and we can talk about those a little bit later. I would say that I did ask about Big River area, and neither of them brought up to me any concerns that either of them had as far as that being a major issue in West Greenwich. I'm still learning about the town there. I'm anxious to learn about it. There may be, obviously, there are a lot I don't know about West Greenwich, but when I did speak to the town administrator and the town planner, they didn't put that at the front of their list of concerns.
Okay, any other thoughts, gentlemen?
Yes, I would like to say two items. Number one, my representation is not going to be just of the district, East Greenwich, and the 8.3% of the constituents in West Greenwich. When I'm sent to the State House, this is one of the things that we need to start to let go of here in Rhode Island, that mentality that it's this fiefdom and that fiefdom and that fire district and this fire district representing that village and this village. I mean, it's time that we realize that the people that you send to the State House to represent you are making decisions that impact the entire state. So when Representative Jones is advocating for something, I believe you need to speak and think for the entire state that you're there representing not just your district. In terms of West Greenwich, I want to add one comment of what involvement I have had in that community and on the specific topic of Big River. I serve on the Rhode Island Land Trust Council, and the Rhode Island Land Trust Council is a consortium of all the land trusts in the state, both municipal land trusts like East Greenwich and private nonprofit land trusts like other towns have. We fought vigorously when the state of Rhode Island proposed building the state police barracks on what they viewed as free land, which was the Big River management area. They wanted to take that land that had been taken from those original owners for the purpose of a reservoir and divert it to a different use. And the Rhode Island Land Trust Council took a stand that said that is not right. They were trying to do that so that they could use the entire amount of the $43 million for the structure itself and save on the land. We advocated that Cranston was a better location. It turned out they selected Situate where the headquarters already existed. But that's something that I did as a private citizen, not a paid position, it's a volunteer position, to advocate at the State House on behalf of the citizens in West Greenwich for that particular issue.